Men, brotherhood. What is brotherhood? Why does it matter? And why do we as men thrive more when we learn to reconcile our differences, clear our charges with one another, with ourselves, and feel safe around other men, truly safe, not just to hang out, do a deal, go out, look good, meet women with the rawness of our being, the facets, the aspects, maybe even the not yet integrated parts that we haven't even wanted to look at ourselves. Never mind, let another man witness them. There's some sort of hallucination that they will know our Achilles heel. They will see our weakness. Oh no, we can't have that. What if the alpha is not the alpha? Definitely that's fair. It's a way of being. You know, when I look at my life, I realize there are many ways that I've considered brotherhood. And that was one of them. Competitive, dominatorial, distanced. And to be clear, it is one thing to coalesce, be coherent, and to compete with. But when we are competing again, determined to compete against every man, everything in the world, life simply gives you competition. Now you may say, I think that's a way to sharpen the sword, and sometimes that's true. Sometimes we're just looking for a fight with life that we don't need to have. Brotherhood, to me, when I was younger, was having some mates to go and play football with, or soccer. As some say, to go and play manhunt. What an interesting game. Let's call it manhunt. Oh, hunting for a man. What an unconscious programming, huh? No wonder we're often so good at doing that instead of inviting a man in, welcoming a man into our world. So we would play manhunt. We even did it with guns. Pretty wild. Now, they did shoot plastic pellets, but they were very realistic guns. BB guns. And we were teenagers, maybe 12, maybe younger, going around hunting our friends. There is something to be said about a man's primal nature, the killer instinct, and not to harm, rather to protect. And then, as I grew up, at least, based on my birth certificate and the date of birth, I grew up. But I'm not sure we always do as the years roll by. Sometimes more than others, some men more than others. Everybody gets to choose. It's okay. As the years roll by, brotherhood became having mates to go out and chase women, frankly. I would love to say attract, and sometimes that's true. Getting a table and a club with a big bottle of something in the middle, maybe a sparkler in the top, and all those things we do. Or maybe it was a gym buddy to be muscular, 210 pounds, 5% body fat, training, vigorously, consistently, persistently, and definitely there was commitment. There was a favorite line of mine in a Rocky film, and it was the movie with Ivan Drago and Rocky's coach, Apollo the First, Drud. I was thinking of Drago. Ivan Drago. Blood drawn with Ivan Drago. And he says, "You see, Rock, he's not a machine, he's the man." And I reversed it. And I said, "I'm not a man, I'm a machine." And I trained like one. And I had a huge body, powerful lifts. And many women liked it. And I liked that. So in the gym, competing with Brotherhood, all these different forms of Brotherhood. The truth is, though, I think that line from the movie ran deeper than I was aware. I was really making myself a machine that could be strong, a machine that could create wealth, a machine that could live in the machine of light and reality, get to the top, maybe even push others down. Ideally not. Maybe yes. In the evolution of consciousness, we as men behave in many different ways, and we consider Brotherhood in many different forms. And today, I experience Brotherhood in a very different way. There was a moment where I was fired from the business that I founded, created, a 9-figure business. I thought I was that business. I didn't realize, but when I was fired, it was like a death. So much of my identity was entwined like a vine, like Chinese knotweed. Couldn't separate it from the business. And it was rapidly, vigorously, viscerally, and in a very interesting way that one day I will perhaps speak into more. Point really being that everything that I thought I was in the very epicenter of my life was over. So I went on a journey, and on that journey I met with many men, and I met with myself differently as a man. Perhaps the most important thing a man can do. And I experienced things that I hadn't before. Sacred ceremony, rolling around in jungles at times with varying degrees of capacity, but always with guidance, trust, honoring the nature of ceremony, though sometimes challenged by that challenge, with sacred plants and entheogens in different areas of the world, and met with men differently, men with very open hearts, loving hearts, and that was beautiful. To hug the man, not just a pat on the back, but an actual real embrace, a loving embrace, no threat, no competition, nothing to prove. And that was good for a while. And I say for a while because I feel that many men on the path can stay there, accessing and nurturing love, feminine love, and not yet reintegrating the potency of masculine love to provide, protect, lead, to be willing to go to the death, not for a dogmatic cause, for life itself. There's a paradox that our willingness to be here in a body was an acceptance of death. And yet many fear it. And then we learn to make it our friend. And then when it's become our friend, we realize it was never our enemy. And then there is an emergence of a man who's truly alive. And that man has nothing to prove. He has much to give. And when men meet in that space, it is truly teaching me what it means to be with the circle and to square that circle, to bring form to it, potent masculine power and the prayer of the one source, God, consciousness, as you will, in your vernacular. Now, I wouldn't be so ignorant to suggest that I've had a full ego death. Maybe I haven't. But actually, I increasingly like to call it an ego birth. Because nothing ever dies, though it may be transformed. So I decided to birth the ego back to God's source consciousness and the remembering of itself as that. Whether it is that or not that, depending on what people say. It is as though it's like a solar panel above your head. And you're the source of light. It's just reflecting back to you what you are amidst shadows, and fractals and patterns. And one day you realize, wow, I can actually rotate this solar panel around. And I can shine it to an even bigger light. And when I do that, instead of simply bouncing back what I am, it becomes a mirror to that light that reflects light to it and charges it perpetually. And it becomes as though a translucent layer, a portal, if you will, that actually reveals the fullness of what you are. Today I had the blessing, the honor, the gift of being with men in Brotherhood in a way that I have now come to know is available. So I invite you, men, just ask for Brotherhood to whatever it is you speak to, pray to, intend to, thyself. Call it forward. And know that it can be more than a drink with a friend or a steak. It can be more than going out with women, bowling on a yacht. I've done that. So funny, I did all these things, not really knowing, just looking to fill a pit. But it's bottomless. A void. Because you're everything. And so instead of getting around men to just keep playing out patterns that are really not getting to the heart of it, they're just you trying to fill an empty cup with a hole in the bottom. Make a decision. Say, you know what? I decide to plug the hole. I decide to fill the cup. And I decide to overflow. No longer as a cup, as a well, as a source of eternal light. To know what it truly means to be a man, to love a man. And to love another man, knowing that man is of the one man and one source. In your sovereignty, yes. In your power, yes. In your rawness, yes. Through your joys, through your tears, your pains. Until you remember that they're the same. Only in equanimity we transcend duality. And there is polarity and yet unity. And at that moment, that coalescence, love, you are home. Never again will you meet with another man the same way. See him as you did, or love him as you couldn't. And you'll have the blessing of that man being you, the man in the mirror. And every man you encounter through the holographic mirror of light. Amen. Get around brotherhood. Get around men with whom you can ascend.